Okay, so hopefully you braved through the last section where we set up the Android environment variable. Just 2 more steps and then we're going to be ready to run our app on Android. In this section we're going to configure the Android SDK, which really just means installing a bunch of dependencies. So I have my terminal open here and I'm going to run the command Android. When I run this, I'm going to get a pop-up here. It's my Android SDK manager, and I can use this to install a bunch of different Android dependencies. If you ran the command Android and nothing pops up, that means that there was probably an error in doing the initial Android SDK installation, and you need to do a little bit of troubleshooting. So all we really need to do here, fortunately it's not going to be too complicated, is select a couple of these dependencies and install them. The dependencies that we need to install are in the official React Native Android setup documentation, and you can see they very specifically highlight the ones that need to be installed here. And there's 2 screens worth. There's not just the screen up here on top, there's also some down here at the bottom as well. So let's go through the process here. On one hand of the screen, I'm going to put the screenshot, and on the other hand, I've got my Android SDK manager. At the very top, very top, I've got my tools folder. I'm going to select my Android SDK tools, my Android SDK platform tools, and my Android SDK build tools as well. I'm going to go down into the next section here under Android 6.0 and select SDK platform. I already have my Intel 86 system image and my Atom system image as well. Finally, I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom, find the extras section, and I should have Android support repository as well. For some reason I have the Android support library selected. I think I'm just going to go ahead and unselect that. So I should just have extras Android support repository. Now, if you're watching this video at some point in the future and there are more libraries over here that have been selected or red boxed, make sure that you get all of those as well. Don't only get the ones that I'm pointing out here. Over time they might add an extra dependency or 2. Be aware that they might have an extra 1 or 2 highlighted on the right hand side over here. Okay, so once I have all these highlighted or checked right here, I'll go ahead and click at the bottom right, install 4 packages. Your number of packages might be slightly greater or less than mine. I've already got some of these installed. For example, the Android SDK tools is already installed. So once I click install, I get the install manager that pops up here. I'm going to click on each one of these, and on right here at the center I'm going to go ahead and accept the license agreement. Just tons and tons of license agreements all over the place. I hope you're printing this all out and reading it. I'm kidding. I certainly don't. Okay, so I accepted all the license agreements. I can now go ahead and click install. And at the bottom here you'll see downloading Android SDK built-in tools, blah blah blah. It's going to go through and do all the download and installation setup for us. Okay, so that's the Android SDK manager setup. All we really had to do was find some dependencies, install it, and poof, it's going to go off and do its thing. Depending on the speed of your internet, mine appears to be blazingly fast. How fortunate for me. That may take anywhere from 2 minutes to 15. So while that's running, we're going to go ahead and start on the next process of setup here, which is to install Genymotion. Genymotion is a free Android simulator that we're going to use to test our apps on. So you can kind of think of Genymotion as being nearly identical to the Xcode simulator. It's what actually takes our application, runs a version of Android on our desktop, on our screen right here that we can interact with. It takes our app and it installs it virtually on that emulator. So again, Genymotion is really just like Xcode simulator. So the steps to install Genymotion are, pretty straightforward depending how you look at it. We'll walk through it right now. Step 1 is, as you might imagine, to go ahead and install Genymotion. So I'm going to go ahead and open this in a new tab. If you don't have the docs open, you can just do a search for Genymotion. It should be the top result that pops up. And we're at the Geniemotion website here. So I'm going to tell you right now, as fantastic as Geniemotion is, I hugely appreciate their service to the community, because this is a free simulator, if you're using it for personal use, and we are. It's really a fantastic tool. On the downside, their website is kind of a pain to work with. So please bear with me as we go through this process here. Basically, all we really have to do is sign up for an account and then download the Geniemotion simulator. Okay. So on the top right here, you would think that you would click sign up, but it's not here. We're going to click sign in, even if you don't have an account. So once we're here, on the right hand side underneath the sign in form, we will create an account, and I'll go ahead and add a username. I'll say sgrider123. Add an email, a password, and then at the bottom I'm just going to accept terms of privacy statement and then create account. Okay, so once we do the sign up, it's going to say, hey, please go ahead and confirm your account here. On a separate browser window, I'm going to go and click that link real quick. You'll want to hop over to your email account really quick and click that link as well. Okay, so on another browser window on my second monitor, I clicked on the link real quick, so you can see that I'm now successfully logged into the Geniemotion website here. Fantastic. So once we're here, this is the part where it gets a little bit weird. Where I was mentioning the website is a little bit of a pain to use. You can see that I'm successfully logged in, and on the top right-hand side, I'm going to find this button that says Shop. So we're not actually going to buy anything, but for whatever reason, this is where you go to download stuff. So when we click on Shop, we get three options: Indie, Business, Enterprise. They all require you to pay something. Fortunately, we are not going to be paying anything. Right below these three options, if you want to use Geniemotion for personal use, and we certainly do, we're going to download it here. So go ahead and click the Download It Here link, and it takes us to the Geniemotion download page. So again, their website is a little bit hard to use. We're going to scroll down, scroll down, scroll down to choose your platform. So if you're on Mac, fantastic. They also have options for Windows and Linux. With Mac selected, I'm going to go ahead, and on the right-hand side, you'll see Download Geniemotion. So we'll go ahead and get Geniemotion. And that will kick off the download process. All right, so this is going to start up the download. Earlier I said that this was like the last step. Kind of lied. There really is just one more step. I swear, just one more step. I know installing the Android stuff is a real pain, but it's the price to pay for going through being able to deploy to two different platforms. If anything, this will probably make you appreciate installing Xcode and going through all that setup as much as a pain as you may have thought that was at the time. So this last piece of setup that we have to do here, or last program that we have to install anyways, is a program called VirtualBox. VirtualBox is a dependency of Geniemotion. So Geniemotion cannot run if you don't have VirtualBox installed. Fortunately, downloading VirtualBox and installing it is really straightforward. In a new browser window, I'm just going to search for VirtualBox. And I'm going to go to virtualbox.org. Make sure you ignore all the advertisements up at the top. On the left-hand side, I'll click Downloads. And then depending on which operating system you're on, go ahead and select the appropriate download here. I am on OS X, so I'll go ahead and download the AM64 right here. And there we go. So I've got both those downloads running right now. I will catch you in the next section where we're going to install both Geniemotion and VirtualBox.